So I've been lucky enough to catch the first 7 episodes of the next exclusive Marvel series on Netflix, Jessica Jones. I've binge watched all 7. Probably not the best thing to do for your health, but totally worth it.
A big part of the job is looking for the worst in people. Turns out I excel at that.
You a PI?
I'm just trying to make a living, you know, booze costs money. Usually.
Jessica Jones.
Just in case you're worried, this is totally spoiler free, so we won't be going into plot or any of the big character arcs or anything like that. We are literally just going to talk about the show and its awesomeness in 7 episodes. The character has been around since 2001, originally created by Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Gaydos for Marvel. Following on from the success of the Daredevil series, we're now seeing Jessica take to the streets of New York and fight her own battle. Now, to be fair, we have had the chance to obviously watch all of Daredevil in one go, so we are only looking at roughly just over half of the Jessica Jones series. Before we get into just exactly what you can expect from Jessica Jones, it is probably worth mentioning that Melissa Rosenberg, the showrunner and creator for the series, spent, well, she's probably best known for her work on the Twilight movies. Thankfully, they don't creep really into the series and there's not much of an influence there. We are, however, seeing the time that Rosenberg spent with Dexter's 3 runs on it, so we are seeing that leak into the series. What does that mean exactly? Jessica Jones is exceptionally dark. By all accounts, Daredevil was a pretty dark and at times hard watch. Jessica Jones goes above that. This is, you are not going to be comfortable at every scene. Following on from the events in the Incident, aka that big alien invasion in Avengers, Jessica Jones has set up practice as a PI. Struggling to make ends meet, she works for various law firms and handles various cases for rather angry spouses. Jessica, played by Kristen Ritter, is complicated, is probably the best word, and also the word doesn't do it justice. We're seeing Jessica who seems to spend her days just drifting in and out of a haze, whether that be lack of sleep, whether that be a drunken haze, or her past life creeping back in from the corners of her memory. Bundling through life, we're not really seeing a whole lot from Jessica. That is until another run-of-the-mill case turns into that something that little bit more, and all of a sudden we start to see Jessica's past catch up to her. All the elements start to connect together very, very quickly in Jessica Jones. Daredevil was very, very slow-paced, whereas with Jessica Jones you are seeing an awful lot of stuff happening and you are introduced to an awful lot more characters. Jessica's life is a mess. Now, when you take, if you were to take a direct contrast to her and Matt Murdock, Matt has his best friend Foggy, and together they run their own practice. Jessica is a loner, preferring to watch from a distance. That said, there is an excellent support cast for Ritter, particularly in her, well, I suppose what stood out for me the most was her boss, played by Carrie Ann Moss, famous for the Matrix series. We tend to see an awful lot of relationships, all of which are kept at various arm lengths from Jessica. What does that mean? Well, those that she would kind of consider close to her, she keeps well away from her, just in case they end up getting hurt. And there's a good reason for that. And we've seen this throughout a lot of the promotional material and the trailers that Netflix and Marvel have been releasing together. Jessica is afraid of a very particular character from her past, the name Kilgrave. Jessica's nemesis Kilgrave is played by David Tennant, who obviously we all know as the 10th Doctor. That said, nothing like. Do not expect to see any of that whimsical charm with just a coat of darkness. This is David Tennant at his most diabolical. He is unnerving, he gets under your skin, and this is perfectly portrayed. If you were to compare Jessica Jones to Daredevil, it's almost like, it sounds really, like it's almost like they're 2 different series, which, okay, they are in fact, but if you were to take them as shows based on TV comic book characters, they are nothing alike. For me, Daredevil came across as very comic-y. You know, there was that sense of the superhero bravado, there was quite a lot of focus on Daredevil's abilities. I need to save the city, I need to prove something. Jessica Jones, that's all bullshit to Jessica. We're not seeing a huge amount of, there's a serious streak of, whether it's regret or that's turned to bitterness or just pure bitterness, Jessica's stint as a superhero doesn't seem to have lasted as long as she wanted, and as such has shrunk away. We're seeing, on another level in terms of contrast, Jessica Jones, the actual series, it looks a little bit more kind of washed out as such. We're not seeing a huge amount of colour in the world around Jessica, and everything has a sort of weird kind of haze to it, obviously quite like her own mindset. There's a serious nod to that sort of film noir, like horror noir, detective noir about it, particularly with Jessica's narration, either in her off-camera remarks, her own internal dialogue, or just in the way the whole thing seems to be shot. There's a lot of sleuth about this. It totally works. Again, I've only seen just over half of it, but for me this stands out an awful lot more than Daredevil did, and I've gravitated a lot more to Jessica Jones, in part to the fantastic performance that Kristen Ritter actually delivers to the character. Jessica, despite her superpowers, despite her gift, is a lot more human. There's an element to her that you kind of see she's flawed, she's not striving to be the best. She's tried it, it didn't work out, and now she's kind of pissed. Full series drops November 20th with all 13 episodes released in one go. You're going to absolutely love this series.
God didn't do this. The devil did. And I'm gonna find him.
Come on, Jessica.
I am the star.
Don't play the hero with me.
I am the star. So wait.